What are you doing here? Well, look, as long as you're going to be in here, you're going to learn something. So, go take a seat over there by Chad. Chad, wave your hand. Other hand. All right. Perfect. Go sit by Chad. Now, as long as you're being here, I thought we'd do a little bit of review on proportions, because proportions are a really essential part of the whole ratios unit. And I think that you could use a little bit more help. So let's take the idea of proportions and do kind of a step-by-step review of what a proportion is so that you can solve proportion problems, because that's going to be an important part, again, like I said, of the whole unit. So just a quick review. You know this part already because you studied it. A proportion, how about this? Is simply two ratios that are set equal to each other. They have to be equal in order for it to be proportional. So we have 1 to 4 is the same thing as 3 to 12. These are proportional. I know they're proportional because they're equal to each other. That when I simplify each one, this one's already simplified, they're going to both come out to the same thing. Proportional relationship means the two ratios are equivalent. They have to be equivalent in order for it to be proportional or to make a proportion. So we could even go back and review our ratio tables, making out equivalent fractions. But the point is that all our equivalent fractions and our equivalent ratios, and our proportions have that same ratio that they simplify down to, whether it be 1/4 or 1/3 or 1/2 or whatever it is. If they're proportional, they simplify down to the same ratio. So to tell if something is proportional, let's say you have $5 to $25. I'll give you an example. They sell you, 5 candy bars for $25. Really expensive candy bars. Or you can have 20 over 100. You can buy 20 candy bars for $100. Again, really expensive candy bars, not the point. Are these proportional? You can buy 5 candy bars for $25 and you can buy 20 candy bars for $100. I think I said that right? I'm not sure. It's been a long break. But are these proportional? Well, to find that out, we have to take the ratios and simplify them. So 5 over 25. Now notice here, and I want to pause for a second, point out, notice that I did something. The candy bars are both on top, the money is on the bottom. So money and candy bars. This is important. You want to keep that same unit in that same line. So candy bars are on top, great. Both candy bars have to be on top. Money's on bottom, great. Both monies have to be on bottom. Whatever that same unit is, it needs to be on that same line. So 5 over 25. 5 divided by 5. 25 divided by 5. Because 5 goes into both, you're going to get 1/5. Come on over here. 25 over 100. 20 over 100. Like I said, I apologize. It's been quite a break. 20 over 100 divided by 20 divided by 20. 20 divided by 20 is 1. 100 divided by 20 is 5. Hey, they both simplify down to 1/5. Therefore, they are proportional. So finding proportional relationships is pretty simple. And we could have even put these back on a ratio table, if you remember when we did that. Here, these would fit. You would have Candy bars up here. Money down here. 1/5. 5/25. 20 over 100. Does this work? Absolutely. 1 times 20 is 20. 5 times 20 is 100. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Remember, these have to be the same. So yeah, that works. Now, that brings me to my idea of proportional problems. Now, if you know how to do it, Chad, sit down. Kids these days, right? If you know how to do it, it's easy. But it's about breaking down that barrier and really critically understanding what it's asking you to do. So let's talk about what a ratio is, or a rate. So in a proportion problem, you're going to have two, usually rates. They compare two different things. So two ratios that you're looking for in a proportion problem. They'll say you have 3 light bulbs for $18, how much for 10? You have 2 eggs to make 6 muffins, how much is to make 15? The key is, in any of these problems that you have, they're going to set it up, 3 shirts for $10, 6 plants in 4 gardens, whatever it is, you're going to have a ratio in the problem, I guarantee you. When you're solving a proportion problem, you're going to have a complete ratio in the problem. So your first step is always to find the ratio. Find that complete ratio. So in the problem that I first gave you, 3 light bulbs for $18, how much is it for 10 light bulbs? You know that, let's see, 3 light bulbs for $18, how much for 10 light bulbs? There is a complete ratio inside this problem. You have to find that first, and it's right here. 3 light bulbs for $18. Just read through these problems and start underlining where they are. If it's, sometimes it's the word for or per. Maybe they'll say 6 eggs is used to make 1 cake. Okay, well, or they'll, 5 hats for every 1 hood. Or 5 hats per hood. They didn't even give you the number, but you need to find and the funny thing is there's only 3 numbers that they're going to give you. And 2 of them belong to a ratio. So when you're breaking through this problem, find that ratio inside of it. Now if they say in 7-Eleven they sell 3 slushies for $10, oh my gosh, now there's more numbers. But I believe you can find the ratio inside, ignore the, okay, well 3 for 10. Find the ratio first, and then you found it. You identified that it's 3 light bulbs for $18. So we're gonna write it as a ratio. We're gonna say light bulbs, $18. Let's put light bulbs on top, just to make things easy. 3 light bulbs for $18, okay? So 3, money goes on bottom, for 18. Okay, now, I told you that this is a proportion. Because it's a proportional problem, that means it is equal to another ratio. The catch is they didn't give you every piece of that other ratio. They want you to find that missing link. And you can even go back to our ratio tables if you wanted to. You could say, okay, so 3 for 18, if this is light bulb and this is money, how much for 10 light bulbs? You put a 10 here, and then you're going to find out what goes in this box right here. And that's easy. Just figure out 3 times what gets you 10, do that same multiplication here, 18 times whatever that is, that'll get, well, and you're like, well, 3 times what gets, that's where I don't like that math. Well, we don't have to use ratio table, but we're connecting what we did do to this. But I'll leave this up for a second. So, how much for 10 light bulbs? Well, is light bulbs on top, or is it on bottom? Chad, what do you think? No, Chad, that's wrong. Light bulbs are on top. So, how much for 10 light bulbs? It's the only other number left in the problem. 10 light bulbs over, we don't know. How much? That's the question. So when we don't know something in a proportion problem, we're going to put a variable. Yeah. That X, that Y, that S, that A, that T, all that fun stuff. We're going to put a variable there, and we're going to solve for that variable. So I'm going to put the variable X. I don't know. We're going to find that out. So that's what this would be. X. We don't know what it is yet. So, in order to, the most important thing to solving a proportion problem is being able to set it up. Solving it, that's the simple part. We can walk you through those steps and I'll outline those in a second. But you need to be able to set up a problem just like I have it here. So I'll walk you through the steps one more time and then we're going to go ahead and solve it and then we're going to look at what's next. So I said, 3 light bulbs for $18, how much for 10 light bulbs? So you found, first thing, you found the ratio that is complete. 3 light bulbs for $18. Whether it's 3 light bulbs for $18, 2 eggs for 6 muffins, you need to find the proportion, the ratio that's complete in the problem. And you did that. 3 light bulbs for $18 is what they give you. There it is. Again, there's only 3 numbers in this problem. 3 light bulbs for $18. How much for 10 light bulbs? 2 of those numbers make up the first ratio, and you found it. And then you set it equal, because it's a proportion, to 10 over x. Now, order matters. Light bulbs are on top, so I put light bulbs on top. Money's on bottom. So it said how much, so that means I'm looking for an amount of money, so that goes on the bottom. This setup is crucial. If you have a question about how to set something up, you can always come back, you can say, hey, I would need more practice. Googling proportion problems from practice and setting up and practicing this setup is the most helpful thing that you can do. Practicing getting the setup right will take you all the way to the end of the lesson. You'll be fantastic, I guarantee it. So once you have it set up and you want to solve it, well, this is where it gets simple. And I promise, there seems like a lot, but we can do it. So, a couple different steps. We have it set up. And this setup is, like I said, so crucial. You have it set up. First step. Cross multiply. Multiply diagonally. 3 times x equals 3x. 18 times 10 equals 180. Cross multiply. 3 times x, 3x. 10 times x, 10x. 100 times x, 100x. 1001 times x, 1001x. That's simple. Now take these two products that you have and set them equal to each other. 3x equals 180. Next step. Divide. What are you dividing? You're dividing the constant, or the number, that's right in front of the variable. So take this 3, and you're going to divide both sides. Take that number and divide both sides. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, so these cancel out. 180 divided by 3. Chad, do you want to take a guess? That's right. No, I'm kidding, that's wrong. Okay, 180, that's exactly right. You got the answer. Good job. X equals 60. What are we going to do with that information? Well, X equals 60, X goes here. So if 3 light bulbs cost $18, 10 light bulbs cost $60. And we know that's true because if we were to go back to our ratio table, three over 18 simplifies down. 3 over 18 simplifies down to 1 for 6. Again, light bulb, money. 1 over 6. So, times 3, times 3. So, if this is 10, times 10, 6 times 10 is 60. Got the same answer. We just solved it using cross multiply and divide. That's how you solve a proportional problem. Set it up, cross multiply, and divide. You gotta find the ratio, set it up, cross multiply, and divide. Now, because you're here, let's take a quick sneak peek at what's ahead. I shouldn't be telling you this, but I think that you're ready. Truth is, and they don't want you to know this, percents work in the exact same way. A percent problem is the same thing as a proportion problem with a little change, but it's all the same. You see, a percent is a ratio. It's comparing a number to 100. Percent is 100. So percent, it's comparing, so 60% is actually 60 over 100. That's a ratio. So 60 over 100, 80%, 80 over 100, 20%, 20 over 100, 10%, 10 over 100. I can think you can get the gist of that. So let's say you wanted to find 60% of 20. Okay? But I'm going to change that. Let's say you wanted to find, because you, my A student, want to find 90% of 20. We had a 20-point quiz, and you want to find out what 90% is, because you know that's the line for an A. So, out of 20, 20 is going to be what's called the whole, because that's how many questions were in the quiz. In every percent problem, there's two things. There's a part, and there's a whole. In the percent, the whole is always going to be 100. And the percent, the top number is always going to be the part. So 90 over 100 is our whole. And they're going to actually give you two of these, just like they did. So they give you the first the first ratio, which is a percent, 90 over 100. We know that. We know that we have a ratio right here, 90 over 100. Found that out. So let's make a problem. what is 90% of 20? Well, we know this 90% is our first ratio. 90 over 100. Of 20. The 20 is going to be our whole. You want to find out how much parts of that 20 make up 90%. So, if parts go on top, whole on bottom, 20, you got 20 out of 20, you got 100%, which you did on your last quiz, because you're smart. Learn something, Chad. Good job. So, 20 out of 20, 100%. 90 over 100, you want to figure out what over 20 is 90%. Hey, this is starting to look familiar. 90 over 100, blank over 20. What should we put in that blank? Well, let's revisit our old friend, the variable. A problem, just like the one we just solved, we set it up the exact same way. Do we solve it the exact same way? You bet we do. Cross multiply. 100 times x, we just did that, is 100x. 90 times 20, oof, 1800. We set them equal to each other. Then all we have to do is divide. Divide both sides by that 100 that's touching the x, that constant there. 1800 divided by 100, x equals 18. Which means 18 out of 20 is a 90%. So 18 is 90% of 20. Solved the exact same way as a proportion problem, with a few changes. Now, technically, I'm still on break and it's been a long day, so I'm gonna let you go early because you've been listening so well. All right, see you later.